Hey, what's going on, everybody? Colossal Tugboat here with another Madden 22 franchise rebuild. This time around, we're going to do the Cincinnati Bengals. Not really particular reason why I chose them, just kind of put the other 31 teams we haven't done yet, outside of the Vikings, of course, into a random wheel spin, and we landed on the Bengals. I think they're a pretty interesting team. I was ready to do them last year. Of course, coming in with the number 1 overall pick with Joe Burrow. Last year, outside of that, though, they really didn't have a ton. Tyler Boyd's been a good receiver. They had T. Higgins really emerge last year. They've had Joe Mixon, who is a good player. Oftentimes, though, battles with his health. They had a little bit of a flash last year, of course, until Joe Burrow got hurt, and then it all just kind of went downhill for him. But this year, while there's not a ton of flashy pieces on the offensive line, the offense definitely got better with the addition of Jamar Chase. Like I said, T. Higgins really had a good rookie year and looking to grow on it. Tyler Boyd's still there, who's really good. And we even have Auden Tate behind them as a 4th-string receiver who's a really good 4th-stringer. So biggest part of this rebuild is going to be this offensive line as well as the tight end position. We don't have a good tight end at all.
Nice.
And as well as growing the offensive line. So not good there, but hopefully throughout this rebuild that could be the main focus, because a lot of our offensive skill positions are going to be set pretty much the whole time, I think, over the course of the 5 years. So I think we're in a pretty good place on that. Defensively, it looks a lot better than it did last year. It's still not great by any means. We have Jesse Bates, which is pretty much the best player on the team, 91 overall superstar at free safety. We do have, I'm going to start Von Bell over Ricardo Allen. He's younger and just, I think, a better fit. He may not be the scheme fit like it shows there, but I think Von Bell is really going to help complement Jesse Bates a lot in this defensive group. The cornerbacks, they made some upgrades. They have Mike Hilton. They added Chidobe Awuzie from the Dallas Cowboys in free agency. Defensive line has some names we recognize now. We have Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, Larry Ogunjobi, and Sam Hubbard. So definitely a different pass rush, not elite or anything like that, but I think combined together, the 4 of them can do a pretty decent job of getting to the quarterback and disrupting the pass. It'll be determined to be seen.
That
It'll remain to be seen. So we could definitely use a couple upgrades there, just kind of depending on who's available. The thing I like most about the defense is they're not like super old by any means. I mean, we got 2 26-year-old pass rushers. DJ Reader's only 27. Ogunjobi's 26 is 27. And so there's lots of youth, which is, of course, really good going into a rebuild. Don't have to worry a ton about regression, things like that until the end. But we definitely need to make some upgrades, like right outside linebacker, Akeem Davis-Gaither. Pretty solid player, was a rookie last year, but if we can make an upgrade, if he doesn't start really increasing in overall and everything, might be inclined to make a change. Jermaine Pratt's always really good in the sim for a 72 overall. I mean, like 100+ tackles, things like that. So be on the lookout for him, and then Logan Wilson as well on the left outside linebacker. So we've got quite a bit of youth, which is really encouraging. It's just a matter of either growing them or replacing them for better players. So whether that's free agency or in the draft, we will see. So we'll go ahead and get into this and see how season number 1 here goes, and I'll catch up with you whenever we get there at the end. All right, so wrapping up season number 1, we finished 8-9. We were 4-3 at the halfway point whenever I took a look at it. So just below 500. I got thinking to myself, just kind of like the Vikings rebuild, this is going to be another one that's going to be really hard as far as making the playoffs, just because this division is so damn good. Besides the NFC West, one of the toughest divisions, as far as you have 2 definite contenders right now with the Ravens and the Browns, who are just at the top of their game. The Steelers I would put up there despite that 4-13, if they can figure out whatever wasn't working for them last year, and can also get a younger good quarterback in there to help usher out Ben Roethlisberger, but I think they definitely have the talent. And the Bengals are no pushover either. I mean, with all the offensive firepower they have, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. But I was kind of thinking that it's going to be tough to make the playoffs. So this year, I would say 8-9 definitely shouldn't be good enough to make the postseason, and it clearly wasn't for us. But let's go ahead and check out the end of the year stats. I saw that we were pretty good on offense. First offensively with 7,741 yards. That's really good. And 25th defensively. So defense needs some work. Offense, we absolutely killed it. Joe Burrow just shy of 6,000 yards, 44 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Only sacked 31 times. I say only, that's still a decent amount of sacks, but compared to the 50s, 60s numbers that you saw last year with like Deshaun Watson, things like that, not too bad. So we will take that all day, every day in the sim. We love to see that. Joe Mixon had a fantastic year, just shy of 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns. Offensively, we were a juggernaut. Jamar Chase in the slot, 85 catches, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. Tyler Boyd, I can't pronounce this guy's name for some reason today.
Perhaps you should read the instructions first.
88 catches, 1,300, almost 1,400 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Joe Mixon even contributed with over 1,000 yards receiving. Very, very cool right there. And then our tight end, who I didn't have too high hopes for, CJ Uzoma. I may have mispronounced his name. I know who he is, but I don't know how to pronounce his name. 85 catches, 10 yards a catch pretty much, and 5 touchdowns. T. Higgins still had a good year, though he's like 5th or 6th on this list. But 80 grabs for almost 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not too bad. So I'm really happy with that offensive unit there. Sack wise, Jonah Williams, of course, gave up a crap ton of sacks, but what are you going to do? Young and growing offensive line, at least at a couple spots. Defensively, Von Bell, who we made that adjustment for, finished up with 123 tackles, 6 TFLs, and 2 picks. Very good year from him. Trey Hendrickson led the way with 16 TFLs, sacks, only 7.5 as our leader. Again, we definitely can use an upgrade on the pass rush, but from Larry Ogunjobi, 7.5 sacks, and interceptions. Ricardo Allen had 4, so not too bad even being benched to second string there. I do think, if I remember correctly on the specialist, that Von Bell was the sub linebacker, so Ricardo Allen definitely got playing time, clearly, with 72 tackles and 4 picks. But, that was a pretty good tandem there. So, Ezekiel Elliott won the MVP this year with the 13-4 Cowboys. Surprise, surprise. Joe Burrow finished 6th on the list, which is really cool to see. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the AFC. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Patrick Mahomes. We finished 2nd. Okay. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. We had no one. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Trevor Lawrence. Jamar Chase finished 3rd. And Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. We'll go ahead and move to the end of the season here, see who wins the Super Bowl, and then see what kind of craziness we can get into with free agency and the draft coming up. It looks like Patrick Mahomes, MVP, led his team to the Super Bowl victorious over the Carolina Panthers, 31-35. Take a look at the season recap. We already kind of touched base on most of it. 3-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The MVP was cornerback Rashad Fenton. Okay. Matt Rule won Coach of the Year. Of course, we said earlier Zeke won the MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. Justin Fields won the Offensive Rookie of the Year overall, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the defensive side for the rookies. So, very nice. Let's go ahead and drop some upgrades on some players, which is just Jamar Chase. And there we have it. I want to check out his dev trait. I think he should be he's a superstar X Factor. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Did he have that? No, he got that upgrade because he won Wide Receiver of the Year. Very nice. You do like to see that. So, Superstar X Factor. I would imagine that he is a superstar in that case with the upgrade before he got the upgrade to X Factor. So, that is really cool. Starting off with a Superstar X Factor wide receiver there and Jamar Chase going into our 2nd season. So, that is awesome. And he was an 84 overall. I think he started at a 75. So that dude that dude went up pretty far this first season. So happy to see that. We'll go ahead and jump to the next week and see how free agency and the draft wraps up for us. All right, so coming out of the end of year one, one thing I did forget to do that I think I forgot to do a lot in the last video is check the player dev upgrades. I think with the Vikings, we didn't really see much of a chance because their team sucked. But I definitely should have checked them this year, my bad. With the great offensive showing we had. Joe Burrow went up to a superstar. At the end of the year, Joe Mixon was a superstar. Tyler Boyd went up. We already went over Jamar Chase. T. Higgins stayed at star. And those were the main movements on offense. Defense, nobody really changed. So as you can see, some new faces all across the board. The entire left side of the offensive line is rebuilt.
Who are you people?
This was a really good draft for offensive line, specifically center. There was like 3 or 4 first-round talents, and we made some moves to get some of them. The best one we had was, I forget his name, Taylor Tyson. 6'5", 318, had really good stats, was the number 11th player in the draft. We got him at like 15, I think. So definitely an ability to improve. He has a hidden development, so hopefully that's star or even superstar. He was a really good talent. And then we got a couple other guys that we just figured out based on their stats where we want them. Free agency, we brought in a couple veterans because we weren't sure how the draft was going to shake out necessarily or anything like that. So these guys are definitely just stopgaps for right now. And until we get that filled, we moved Jonah Williams over to right tackle because he was just completely overwhelmed as a left tackle last year. So hopefully he does a little bit better on the right side. We brought in David Njoku as our tight end for now for a couple of years. I think his athleticism is going to be really, really huge for this team and help contribute. Much better athlete than CJ Uzoma was for sure, and he did great. So be interesting to see how that goes. We did end up drafting with our first pick, which was number 12. We drafted here Cole Fields. Normal development, 74 overall, but he wasn't a reach at that position we got him. So not the best player. I was really deciding between him or the centers, and there were so many centers that and not that many pass rushers. Decided to go with him. Don't really regret it, but I was hoping he'd be higher up. So he'll sit behind Sam Hubbard for right now. We did end up trading Logan Wilson to move back into the first round for the center that we got playing left tackle now. So we did make a move for that. I gave up too much. I've messed up. I didn't think they'd accept it, but they did. So other than that, not too many changes on defense. We did bring in Ronnie Harrison to play. He's a little bit younger, in my opinion, a little bit better. So I think he'll slot in fine there. Again, Von Bell will probably be playing quite a bit off the bench, whether that's sub linebacker or wherever we may have him. I'm sure he'll still get his snaps. Brought in Leighton Vander Esch and Chris Barnes off free agency, so really beefed up the linebacker core quite a bit. And so that's the big changes. Really excited for where this season's about to take us. We kind of set everything. We'll go ahead and get into season number 2, see if the changes that we have made can help make us a regular season, hopefully division champion, at least make the playoffs. That'd be pretty cool. All right, so the end of season 2, taking a look here, we finished 7-10. We were 1-6 at the halfway point, so we definitely turned it around. But the biggest change I made to the actual roster was moving Jamar Chase back into the slot. I think that really, having T. Higgins there in that generate best roster thing kind of messed it up. Still not good enough, though. The Browns just went 17-0, absolutely demolished the division, the league for that matter.
Look, I just flipped the switch.
Poor year for us. We regressed by a game, I guess, but I'll contribute that to the lack of me paying attention at the beginning of the year. So let's take a look at some of the stats and awards for our team, at least. Joe Burrow wasn't having a bad season. The touchdowns are definitely down. The yards are obviously down quite a bit, but he really rebounded from the first half of the season. It was kind of a poor showing altogether at the beginning. Joe Mixon had 26 touchdowns, so we reverted to a rushing team, of course. T. Higgins did lead the way. Some of those numbers, I think, are inflated from the amount of receptions that the slot receivers get, but still a good year. 74 catches, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, just shy of 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Tyler Boyd did well. And David Njoku, not as good as CJ Uzoma last year, but he did all right for coming in. Our left tackle gave up 10 sacks. Our center gave up 14, so that's not good for him. But Jonah Williams significantly went down, so that he's doing much better on the right side of the line, which is good because it's a contract year for him, and I wanted to see how he would do. Free agent signing, we had Chris Barnes led the way with 118 tackles. He also had 9 TFLs. Larry Ogunjobi and DJ Reader led the team with 16. Our sack numbers went up from where they were at the halfway point, which is good because we did not have that many at all. I'm still not impressed with it, so we really need to find a way to upgrade the pass rush in order to upgrade the defense overall, I think, because we don't have that many interceptions because we're just not getting any pressure on the quarterback. So our safeties all tied with 2 for the lead, and then only 2 other interceptions beyond that, 1 from a cornerback. So not very good on the defensive side for sure. And the Cleveland Browns just finished the perfect season. The absolute clean sweep. What is that now? 20-0, 21-0.
1, 2, oh!
Hole in one.
Congratulations, Browns fans. It was not that long ago that you guys went 0-16. Let's go ahead and move into free agency and the draft for this second year heading into the third. So big deal to kick off free agency here before the first week of free agency. So in the negotiation process, I offered Von Bell a contract because he's been a really good sub linebacker for us, pretty much led the team in tackles both years. And he did not want my contract. So, of course, per usual, a good player I'm not going to let walk for nothing.
Investigators found car. They also found wheels.
So we franchise tagged him with the idea of trading him because we have Ronnie Harrison. We don't really need him. He's just kind of nice to have. So we're going to end up giving Von Bell our first round pick next year and Mike Hilton for a much younger Jeff Okudah, who's going to be really good for us, and a first and a second round pick this year. All right, so post draft going into year number 3, we are looking pretty good, I think, in my opinion. We got our offense that just looks especially the offensive line, looks completely overhauled from where we started. Completely overhauled. We got Joe Burrow, superstar. Joe Mixon, 99 X Factor. Tyler Boyd's an 89 superstar. Jamar Chase, 87 X Factor. I bet should be a higher overall than Tyler Boyd following this year, I would imagine. T. Higgins, 85 stars. So our wide receivers are looking spicy. Quarterback, good. Running back, fantastic. Top of the league. Left tackle, we still got Taylor Tyson. I knew that. And we have Blake Hewitt from last year as well. We drafted, like I showed you in the trade, we got the 21st overall pick, and we took, I had an edge rusher I wanted, a right end that I thought looked really good, and just to put my judgment of talent for draft on display, he ended up being like a 74 normal, so I'm glad he fell before, or he got picked up before we could get to him. We ended up taking Michael Aldridge here as our right guard. Pretty solid, not the best. I think we could have done better, but it was between him or Parker Hutchinson here. And whenever it came back to us in the second round, Parker Hutchinson was still there. Our center last year, Petty, struggled. So I might be convinced to move him over to right guard over Aldridge. I do like his stats better. But we'll take a look at that here in a bit. So anyways, offensive line, Studley, David Njoku, again, still did really well last year. Defensively, we didn't bring in too many people. Oh, I'm sorry. We did bring in someone. My bad.
First time.
Zadarius Smith to help fix our pass rush problem. We brought him in for a couple years, and of course we traded for Jeff Okudah in that trade we were showing. Other than that, though, not too much big moves. We drafted James Santiago here, who was a 4th round projected, but a 1st round talent. Doesn't look too bad. Kind of floated the idea of moving him over to defensive tackle, but I'm going to leave him where he's at now as a run stopper. And then we also drafted, he's not showing up on here, but he should be on the rushing. We got Norris here. Doug Norris, sorry. A little bit small for a end, but that's why we're only having him in there on rush situations. But he was one of those individuals that told Roger Goodell that he ain't going to a stupid combine. So he showed up for our team, 72. I think he was a 74 overall as a linebacker before I adjusted him a little bit. We are here in season number 3. Let's go ahead and get to the halfway point of the regular season. I will do my adjustments there if I need to. I will catch you at the end of the year. Hopefully year number 3, we're making the playoffs this time around. That would be really, really nice. All right, end of year number 3. I see that we have playoff wild card, but I see that we're not in it. Again, we were 10-6 this year, so we made improvements, but we clearly got edged out right at the end. Much improved, especially in the interception department. Just shy of 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, 9 picks. Absolutely stellar season right there. Joe Mixon, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. We did switch back from the Dallas Cowboys playbook to the Kansas City Chiefs playbook. So Dallas, for those who play franchise, is clearly run heavy on the sim. Obviously, with Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs aren't as run heavy. They're much better at passing. So good to see. Jamar Chase, over 100 receptions, 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns. Absolute dominant year from him. Like I said, I was really expecting to see that he was going to take over that definitive number 1 spot from Tyler Boyd, who is a free agent. I offered him a contract at the midway point. He said he wanted more money. I wanted to see how he would do. He had a good year, 80 catches, just shy of 1,000 yards. I would call that 1,000 in my books. 7 touchdowns. I think I'll bring him back as long as he just really doesn't price me out. We gave Joe Burrow a contract. He's back. We gave T. Higgins a contract. He's back. We gave Jeff Okudah a contract, who we just traded for. I wasn't going to trade and give up stuff and not, re-sign him, of course. So gave him a contract. He's back. So Tyler Boyd, really the last one that we have left to re-sign, I think. And this is what I wanted to see right here. Like I said at the beginning of the season, Leighton Vander Esch did not pop up on the stats at all last year. He was MIA completely. 123 tackles. That's what I want to see from this guy every year, especially for what we're paying him. 2 sacks for a left outside linebacker is fine. I'd like to see a little bit more, but where we lack in sacks, I would have loved to see more picks. Only 1, but he's here. He played. He did well, made stops. I can't complain too much. Though Chris Barnes did lead the team in tackles. TFLs, Larry Ogunjobi's been solid for us this whole rebuild. 22 TFLs, 7.5 sacks. He led the team with that. Zadarius Smith, only 4.5 sacks. I would have loved to see more. Doug Norris, 6.5 sacks with our rookie, who came in on rushing down. So that's good to see. I was a bit curious to see how that one would go. Ezekiel Elliott won his 3rd MVP. We'll see if he can pull off the clean sweep. He's clearly a 99 overall. X factor as high as he can go. We'll see if this guy ever regresses and comes back down to earth. But Ezekiel Elliott with his 3rd in a row MVP. I'm sure that's probably a record of some sort or creeping up on one. Right outside linebacker Pete Werner. I think that's one of my favorite things is like I very rarely see a legitimate like a Patrick Mahomes. You'll just see that sometimes, but like a star player win the MVP of the Super Bowl. It's always like a cornerback or a safety or a right outside linebacker. And 9 times out of 10, it's someone I've never heard of. So good for Pete Werner. Glad that he had a great Super Bowl. Probably made 1 or 2 plays and won the MVP. So good to see. We're going to go ahead and again move to free agency now. We're going to attempt to re-sign Tyler Boyd. So we'll be right back with that. All right, so coming out of the draft and free agency, following year number 3, heading into year number 4, made some changes mostly on the defensive side of the ball. As you can see, we were able to bring back Tyler Boyd like we wanted to. We got our trio of X Factors on the offense, and we have 2 offensive linemen with the exact same face but a different name. I liked Parker Hutchinson last year. I'm going to start him again over Petty. Not sure how he got switched around there, but that's fine. David Njoku's back, of course. Defensive side of the ball, we brought in some vets. Not a ton on free agency. So we went ahead and kind of just went best available players to see how much we can beef up the team. So we got Fletcher Cox coming in, Eddie Goldman, because we weren't able to re-sign either of our defensive tackles. So Ogunjobi and DJ Reader are both gone. They were getting older and regressing, and I know you're going to say, well, you just got even older, and you're not wrong. But we're going to go ahead and see what these guys can bring to the table for us this season. Zadarius Smith's still here. Trey Hendrickson starting on the line. Marcus Peters that we brought in, as well as Darius Slay. We didn't re-sign Chidobe Awuzie. He has not done really anything for us. And these guys will get us picks. Anyways, we'll go ahead, run it to the regular season, and then do the normal thing. We'll catch you at the end of the season and pray to God this time that we're just good enough to get into the playoffs and make a run at that point. Because once we're in, anything can happen. All right, end of year number 4. Taking a look here. And this time we got a wild card game, boys. We're in it. We're in the playoffs. That's what we said. All we need is the push to get in there. What? I like our first matchup against Buffalo. We are the 5 seed. So it's not like we were the absolute last person in. So we're okay with that. We're down. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the wild card game. We're going to do it since we finally made the playoffs. We're going to do the moments here. We're not going to play anything. We're just going to do like the simulcast type thing. So let's go ahead, get into this game, and see how our team does against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Going to watch it fast. We get first blood there, 7-3. I think one thing that we have going for us, and it's starting to pick up a little bit, is our offense is just electric. Oh my God, we scored with 3. So I tried to stop it. We'll let the defense take that one over. So our defense made a stop. I was a bit confused because they started on like the 20-yard line. I don't know. That kind of confused me. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention. Anyways, so not to my credit, we ended up making it out of the wild card. I had nothing to do with that. I played terrible. We are looking pretty good coming out of that game offensively. So let's go ahead, advance the week, and see what lies ahead for us. And that would be Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So apparently Patrick Mahomes is their top player with 76 catches, almost 1,000 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns this year. I always knew he was more of a wide receiver than a quarterback. They were just wasting his talent. Go ahead and do the same thing. I'm honestly at this point probably not gonna play. I guess I can just do this. Skip the moments. Kansas City drew first blood on us and second blood. Defense can't find an answer for him. Offense hasn't gotten going yet. This is getting ugly fast. First half, we're going to be down 21-0. If you have children, please cover their eyes. This is not meant for... Hey, we scored! Nice. There we go. We went from a rated R to a rated PG-13 there. That score is a lot more respectable than that game was at all. 34-28. That was 34-0 at one point. So nothing to really be proud of there other than some garbage time touchdowns. But we got the brakes absolutely beat off of us. We at least brought a little bit of glory in making it to the playoffs, winning a playoff game. Would have loved to see a better showing this last week, but we have one more year left. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl again for, I think, the second time this rebuild. Patrick Mahomes, there we go. I was complaining about it last time around, but an actual player that we all know won the MVP this time. You can see it over there on the top of the yearly award. We have a 4-peat going on now for the NFL MVP with Ezekiel Elliott. I have no understanding as to how. I haven't seen that many consecutive MVPs ever. So here we go. We're going into year number 5. getting ready to do the free agency and the draft. I'll catch you guys after it's done, but we really got to make a move. Continue. If we have to make the playoffs, obviously last year we want to win the Super Bowl. I'm optimistic that we should be able to with our offense, but we're going to need to pick up some players and make some good additions. So going to be interesting. We'll find out. All right, so coming out of the draft and free agency, going into year number 5, I didn't, again, take a look at dev trait increases, decreases, anything like that. I forgot to. Was too excited about us making the playoffs and winning a game and having a fantastic year with Joe Burrow. But it does look like Blake Hewitt went down from superstar to star. He regressed. Not the biggest deal in the world, but I didn't check the blocking stats. Maybe he had a bad year. But Tyler Boyd did regress with his age, of course. I think I'm going to start T. Higgins over him and just move him back to the 3rd position there. Defensively, we brought in a couple more one-year deals with Sebastian Joseph Day and Fletcher Cox. Zadarius Smith, I think this is his last year with the team anyways, but regressing. So, as well as Sam Hubbard is too. We could potentially start somebody else there, but I think we're just going to leave it for now and ride it. James Bradbury, 1-year deal. Greedy Williams, I think, had more than a 1-year deal. Marcus Peters, Jeff Okudah was already here, of course. And we brought in Zavid Collins, was the big pickup. He was in free agency, and so we got him to sign here, and we're going to play him a right outside linebacker. So we have a pretty complete defense. All things considered, maybe not the best, but we've got good people in those positions. Anyways, we'll get that all fixed up here on the depth chart, and I will catch you guys at the end of the season. All right, wrapping up year number 5, made the playoffs again, 11-6, the best record we've had so far. So each year, minus going from 1st to 2nd year, I believe we had improvement. I kind of put that one on myself for letting the depth chart be messed up. So we will go ahead and go to the wild card playoff game versus the Tennessee Titans. Time we saw us in the playoffs versus the Chiefs, starting off down 0-3. Don't think the Titans should have a super tough defense, so I'm hoping we can outscore them, but so far I'm being proven wrong. Up 14, they got to score right back. I think that should do it. I was worried there for a second. I almost spoke too soon. But in the end, we get the W, and moving on to the 2nd round of the playoffs, where I would be curious to see who we play. Did I see the Chiefs in here? I think we play Cleveland. Okay. We got smacked by Cleveland in the middle of the year. So Kansas City is here. Cleveland was the number 1 seed. They were the number 2. Dolphins beat the Raiders, and Chiefs beat the Chargers. So go ahead and move into the 2nd week here. But I think if we just come out and play our game, get the offense going, just get a couple stops on defense like we just did, and our offense is just cooking right now, absolutely laying the hammer down in this first half. Looks like we had a turnover, potentially gave them a close score, but our defense showed up for this playoff game so far, and our offense did not let them down, just relentlessly attacking this whole game, not letting off the brakes, showing the number 1 seed in our division rival who's Big Daddy right now. So let's see who we got next. We do have our bitter rival, I guess, without unofficially being a rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, who kicked us out of the playoffs last year, who just seems to kick everybody out of the playoffs because they're just so damn good. We're going to see if once again we can pull off the impossible. So let's go ahead and get into it again. AFC Championship, the furthest this team's been in the snow, in Arrowhead Stadium, one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. Starting off not too strong, starting off just like the last time around, but let's see if we can get a score there. We got 3, but we can't take 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning champions. We got to get 7 each time down. Still a close game, only down 3. Got a big score there, took the lead in the 3rd quarter, making stops, our defense making stops against the Kansas City Chiefs. We're actually doing it. Only up 5. Milked the possession, and the Cincinnati Bengals, led by Joe Burrow, once again slaying the dragon at the top. We're going to the Super Bowl, boys. We beat two of the best Madden simming teams in the game, not named Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. Again, I need to check and see if Zeke won the MVP for a record-breaking 5th time in a row. I'm sure he just broke his own record because he's just that damn good. I'm going to go ahead and check that before we even get to see who we play in the postseason here. I'll check the stats and the awards. He can only call it a 4-peat. He didn't get the clean sweep this time around. Saquon said, I'm going to step in and take the crown for right now. So we'll go ahead and sim to the Super Bowl and see if the Cincinnati Bengals can pull it off against the number 1 seed in the NFC, the Arizona Cardinals. Years 1 through 4, year 5, it's all about winning that Super Bowl if you haven't already. So that's what we're looking to do. Let's go ahead and start the Super Bowl off with a bang. Let's get this offense going. I think the Cardinals are going to have a tough defense. So if we can make some stops with our own defense, which it's been a defensive battle from what I can see here, then they drew first blood. But I think we might have a chance. Let's see if we can get a score before half. We cannot. We are down big. The Cardinals are going to go ahead and win this Super Bowl by all means, it looks like. 28. Yeah, we made it a game at the end with garbage time, kind of like the Chiefs lost last year. But, all in all, second rebuild on the channel. We made it to the Super Bowl. We had some great games against the top teams. I was going to say, and I guess I jinxed myself in my head, but if we could have beat the Chiefs and the Browns in the same playoff run, I thought for sure we were going to have the Cardinals. But, Don't count your eggs before they hatch, or whatever they say. I don't know. Take a look at the way we finished out here. Again, we are an 89 overall team. It says 88, but before the Super Bowl, we were an 89. Biggest thing that I think we're the most proud of is year 1 and year 2 with these two guys. But year 1, we had 3 absolute studs on the offensive line that just really kicked this into the next gear. Because I think if we wouldn't have had the drafts that we had with the offensive line, our offense definitely wouldn't have been as good as it was that fast. So definitely was a fantastic thing to get that shored up by the end of year 2 and have that figured out for the whole rebuild. Had some good progression there. Had great progression out of Joe Burrow, out of Jamar Chase, out of T. Higgins. Joe Mixon was solid all throughout. Defensively was where we really kind of lacked until the end. Once we started bringing in some vets to shore up some of our problems, we started to really excel. In the end, it wasn't good enough, but there's only 2 teams every year that can say they make a Super Bowl, and here lately it's been kind of the same handful of teams, or at least players. So to be the Cincinnati Bengals, to make the Super Bowl, can't be upset with that. So without further ado, rebuild number 2 of this franchise series is in the books. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. Be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know who you want to see next. Like I said, right now, I'm just doing like a random number generator type wheel. I'm hoping to kind of alternate NFC, AFC just to, keep it a little bit fresh so we're not playing the Dallas Cowboys and 4-time MVP Zeke every single rebuild. But if we double up, we double up. No worries there. Of course, Episode 1 of the Bears franchise, and maybe even Episode 2, not sure how it's going to release yet, of the Bears franchise that we're doing for the whole year is probably out, or if not out yet, coming soon behind this. So keep an eye out for it. Let me know how you like that one too. I haven't gotten too much feedback on it. I really want to know how you guys like these shorter rebuilds in one episode. Maybe a little bit longer episode, like 30, 35 minutes. I think they've been running right now. But I really like this condensed version. Let me know how you guys feel about it. If you want to go back to 2 episodes, whatever, we absolutely can. But I really like condensing it down to this and making it an enjoyable half hour or so for you to watch. And again, let me know about that Bears rebuild too. It's going to be a little bit more interesting there whenever we get out of the preseason. So starting this next episode. But again, without further ado, thanks for checking us out. I really appreciate it. Leave a like, all that fun stuff if you can, and be sure to follow any of the socials down below in the description. And I'll catch you next time. Hopefully we win a Super Bowl here soon. But right now we made some good progress, and I'm happy with this rebuild. Have a good day.